The truth about why my mom lost custody of me. I'll never see her the same way again. I used to think I knew why my mom lost custody of me. I thought it was about neglect. Maybe the court just believed she didn't protect me well enough. But the truth is so much worse than I ever imagined. And now I don't think I'll ever be able to look at her the same way again. When I was 11, I was taken out of my mom's home by child services. There were serious allegations against my stepfather, and I was the one they were about. He was eventually convicted, though he took a plea deal. He barely served 2 years. Honestly, I don't even remember if he served the full sentence. What I do remember is that I was his primary victim, and it had been going on for years. I think the earliest I remember something being off, I was around 8, but he admitted to hurting me as far back as then, maybe even earlier. I don't know if my mom knew about it before the authorities stepped in, but now, looking back, I'm not sure it would have mattered to her either way. After the investigation, I was put into temporary state care while the legal stuff was figured out. Eventually, I went to live with a relative and her husband, the people who would later become my adoptive parents. They made sure I got therapy, support, and, most importantly, a sense of safety I hadn't felt in years. They helped me heal. And even though they did everything they could to protect me, they never kept me from my mom. I could call or text her. She was allowed to visit me, though I was never allowed to visit her home. I never questioned that part much. I assumed it was just some legal rule, a court condition maybe. Growing up, I held on to this version of the story, that maybe the court blamed her for being careless, or not noticing what was happening to me sooner. I figured the reason she lost custody was because someone else had to step in and do what she didn't. My adoptive parents never contradicted that version. They said I could have a relationship with her if I wanted, and they wouldn't get in the way of it. But now I know. They weren't telling me everything. Once I turned 18, I started talking to my mom more. Not often in person, but we kept in touch. And over time, something about the whole situation just started bothering me. I kept thinking, why would the court permanently remove a child from a mother who didn't have any criminal record? Why was it so cut and dry? Eventually, I brought it up with my adoptive parents, and that's when the truth finally came out. Very gently, they told me that my mom had been given a chance to get me back. All she had to do was make sure her husband, my abuser, was no longer part of her life. He couldn't be in the same house, couldn't be near me at all. Not just because of his conviction, but because I was his victim. And she didn't do it. She chose not to. My mom was told she could have her daughter or her husband, and she chose him. When I confronted her about it, she didn't even deny it. She said she loved him. She told me he was a good man who made a mistake. A mistake. He assaulted her child, me, and for the last 12 years she has willingly shared her life, and her bed, with the man who hurt me. I can't wrap my head around it. Every time I think about it, I feel sick. I feel this mix of rage, heartbreak, and disbelief that I can't even describe. My adoptive parents said they were following the advice of my therapist, that I needed to come to this realization in my own time, that, as awful as it was, cutting my mom out of my life completely before I was ready might have hurt me even more. But honestly, none of that makes this any easier to process. These past few days have felt unreal. I keep asking myself how a mother could choose a predator over her child, how she could justify that choice, and how she could live with it for over a decade. My mom's been texting me, but I haven't replied. I can't. Just seeing her name on my screen makes my chest tighten and my stomach turn. I've been answering my adoptive parents' calls, mostly so they don't drive all the way out here to check on me. But I can't talk about it much yet. Thankfully, I had a therapy session recently and we started working through it. It's going to take time, I know that. But at least I've started the process of understanding how this has affected me, and how I might be able to move forward. I've also talked more with my adoptive parents. At first I felt this wave of betrayal. Not that they kept the truth from me, but that I'd spent so many years thinking one thing when the reality was so much darker. I even apologized for being upset with them, but they told me I didn't need to say sorry, that they understood. My adoptive mom said that if she had been in my shoes, she'd be angry too. She told me they made the decision they thought would protect me, not just physically, but emotionally. They didn't want to add to the list of adults who had failed me. My adoptive dad said something that stuck with me, that he hoped I could hold on to some kind of childhood, something not completely defined by what had happened to me. Looking back, I realize how hard they worked to give me that. I don't remember much from my early years, and what I do remember isn't great, but everything they gave me afterward, the safety, the love, the stability, it mattered a lot. I love them. And I know they made those hard choices because they loved me too. As for my mom, I've made my decision. I told her I didn't want to talk anymore. I've since blocked her number. My adoptive parents have offered to handle any future contact attempts if she tries to reach out, but I honestly don't think she will. I won't be the one to reopen that door. I can't. Part of me will probably always wonder why she made the choice she did, but based on what she's told me so far, and what she refuses to see, I don't think her truth would help me heal. Sometimes there is no explanation that makes the pain go away, and maybe the best thing I can do for myself is to stop looking for one, and start focusing on building a life without her in it.